Obsessed podcast. We'll be sitting down with a fresh guest each week. Someone who shares the same kayak fishing passion that runs through our veins. We're talking kayak anglers, kayak companies, lure experts. Heck, anyone who's got a story to tell about landing the big ones from a kayak. We're setting our sights on becoming the #1 kayak fishing podcast in the world. You'll get a chuckle, a grin, and hey, maybe even a belly laugh. Because we believe in the power of humor. But above all, we're here to educate and inspire. So, whether you're a seasoned kayak angler or just dipping your toes into this exhilarating world, join us on the Kayak Fishing Obsessed podcast. It's time to reel in adventure, camaraderie, and the joy of the catch. Here's your host, Darren Windle.
What's up, you fish freaks? Yeah. Welcome to episode number 137 of the KFO show, Kayak Fishing Obsessed. Tonight is gonna be a banger. Hero or zero, spring bass fishing decides real quick. This time of the year, it will expose you if you're guessing, but if you're fishing the conditions instead of the calendar, it can be one of the most predictable bites of the year. These fish are moving with purpose, and if you can line them up where they are in that cycle, you can absolutely jack some jaws. Tonight, we have Kylee Short, a.k.a. Bait Barbie Fishing, joining us, and she's been putting together on the water and breaking it down what's actually working right now. We're going to be talking about how to find them, what to throw, and the little adjustments that separate a tough day from a lights-out day. And real quick, spring fishing can be no joke. Cold water, changing weather, it can be dangerous if you're not prepared. That is why one of the core things we teach at KFast is KYL, K-Y-L, know your limits. It's one of the 9 lessons we teach how to properly assess and mitigate weather risk before you ever launch. So please, if you have not yet done so, head over to kfast.co and earn your certification today. Now, the question of the week, Wyatt, what am I going to ask?
Still currently have a job.
All right, he's got a job.
They are restructuring the company. They can't do anything right now. They can't do anything right now for a couple weeks. So,
oh man, you reading tea leaves? I was thinking about this. I don't know what I was
like
doing.
saving. It's like skimming through every time now.
That's amazing. The Lord's hands upon you, Wyatt. That's amazing. I was thinking, what if because Wyatt doesn't tell me this. I ask him kind of not to because I want to know in this moment while everyone else does. But I was thinking to myself, what if he told me he actually lost his job? I'm going to feel real bad. I don't know. I was like, how would I even react on air if he's like, yeah, I lost my job? I'm like, oh, all right.
You'll know because I'll just have like the crazy raccoon eyes,
Fishing every day, 24/7.
I'll be doing this from the lake. So.
Oh, wow. All right. Well, I got to set her back up. I feel bad for Kylie. She's in the green room. She's like, when are you guys going to let me out of the green room? Well, that answers right now. Kylie, welcome to the show. How you doing?
Hey, good. How's it going?
You know what? We're trying to have a good time over here. Wyatt, if you ever got a hold of one of Wyatt's jigs?
I haven't. I've heard.
The lure? Yeah.
I've heard. But no, I have not had the honor and privilege just yet.
So I was like, hey, Wyatt, can you send me a few? And so he sent me like 15. And he's like, don't be overwhelmed by like how large these jigs are. I was like, all right, I got it. I get these things like, oh, okay. All right. So I take it out. I've gotten like 18, 20 and a half, all within like an hour and a half. I was like, all right, these are money. And then some pike took it. Piece of crap. So I was like, hey, Wyatt, I have a feeling I'm going to be moving through these pretty fast. Do you want me telling people about it, or like, do you feel like making jigs? We start talking about it.
My address is 8-9, so you know exactly where to send them to.
Come on. So
I made some Florida special ones before. So
there you go. Yes. You were making them when you were here for the Bassmaster Kayak Series event on Kissimmee Chain.
Yep, I caught a couple fish in practice on it.
So do you make them on the road, Wyatt?
Yeah, I have a box of stuff that I'll make just whenever I feel like I need some more.
How many people ask you for them? Can I ask you that question? Well, more now that we're talking about it, I'm sure.
I mean, I've had a bunch of people ask me for them. There's only a few people that have gotten them.
That get them.
What's the magic of getting one? That's the question. When he's out of work, folks, he might start making some more of these. I don't know. We'll see. but they are pretty special and they are very unique. Not a lot of jigs out there like them. All right, enough about that jig. We can circle back later. But Kylee, thank you so much for hopping on tonight. I've been watching you grow rapidly, so congratulations on that growth. But for people who may not know you, who is Kylee Short? Who is Bait Barbie Fishing? How did you get started in fishing? And I guess I'm gonna wrap 3 questions into one. You can just answer them all. When did you realize this was kind of like more than a hobby?
Ooh, I feel like all of it happened very quickly. So it wasn't too far after I started that I realized I was in it. I'm definitely the type of person that has like little hyper fixations and hobbies that are really into it for like 2-3 weeks at a time. Mm-hmm. So I think when I started fishing and I was really into it, I expected that it would maybe be one of those, and it has definitely not been. It became something that I was just like going after every day. But no, I guess I'm a fairly self-taught angler, a late bloomer, if you will. I didn't get into the game of fishing until just a few years ago. So I moved back to Florida from Georgia, kind of like North Atlanta area. And
terrible fishing there. First you spend 5 hours to get out of traffic, and then you get to your lake, and then you get 5 hours to get home.
Ironically, grew up right next to dugout bait and tackle, and never experienced any of that. I was so like out of the loop. Lived on a pond, just wasn't really into it. So when I moved here, there was water everywhere. My dad likes to pond fish, so I hopped along with him on like a random Tuesday, and clueless, just really learning how to cast again. Didn't know how to tie the knots. Nothing. Like as amateur as it can get. He might as well have had me at 6 years old out there with him. So caught a few bass though, and at that point, something about where I was in that place of life, I was just hooked, for lack of a better word. So next day, when are we going? Are we going again? Can we go again?
All right.
And then I'm watching every YouTube video that I can to learn, how to tie knots, what baits are working, that kind of thing, to where I think I fished every single day for a year, even if it was only 30 minutes that I had in the pond. But there's just an abundance of water here. So
yeah,
I started going live on TikTok, almost like a learn with me type thing with fishing, where I was just on my lunch break at work and would just fish for an hour, and kind of built up a little bit of a following. I'm taking advice from people that have been fishing in the game longer than me and trying new stuff in real time, and realized that it was something that I was really into and wanted to keep doing. I didn't know where it would go or what level I would take it to. I guess it was more just for fun, like for me, and to just kind of like share with a community of people who also enjoyed it. But as you grow, you kind of start to hit these places where you want more and more and more and want to learn more. So I was fishing from the bank, learned about a local weeknighter tournament that we had on Lake Conway. So I'm hopping in as a co-angler on that tournament every Wednesday for the most part. And it was if someone had a boat available, if there was space, if I could find somebody to fish with. Did that for a little bit, but felt kind of limited to when and how I could get into the tournament thing. I realized, I love sports my whole life. I like the competitive aspect of bass fishing, but it's solely driven off of what someone else, is doing or where they go or what I can do. And I like learning with that, but I wanted to go every week. I wanted to go on different bodies of water and kind of felt limited.
Schedule. That sounds terrible.
Yeah, exactly. So I did a lot of, pond fishing pretty much as I could, but had this real big itch to get off the bank of just, exploring what I could in bigger bodies of water, even the other side of the big ponds that I'm fishing that I couldn't get to. So I learned a little bit about kayak fishing. There was 2 anglers that actually fished the Florida Bass Nation, Wendy Biles and Amy Brown. I met them at iCast, and they're telling me like, you got to do kayak fishing. Like, we need more people that are in it. Yeah. We need more girls in it. And I was like, kayak? No, I'm thinking like boat. I want a boat one day. And with my 9 to 5,
tiny boats
9 to 5 paycheck to paycheck job, I want a boat. But so I actually had the opportunity to get into a kayak and went that route. And I think I got that kayak, and within a month, I entered the first tournament that I could do on the Florida Kayak Bass Trail. I did terribly, but it was just kind of took off.
That's a rite of passage.
You have to.
Highly unlikely that you're going to come in for the first time and rock everyone's world.
Yeah.
So
all right. Yeah, it was just a bunch of that. I fell in love with the competitive side of it. I think once I realized too, there was a certain connection, I guess, that can be made with other people that are in the industry. I felt like a lot of the resources that I'm looking for, that I'm learning and everything is great, but a lot, we know there's still gaps with it being such a male dominated industry. I was like, I wanted to be able to offer another resource, maybe for people to hear it better from me. Like someone will understand why a lot better when he's talking about something as someone may, understand someone else. So I just wanted to offer another resource and share what I've learned in a way that was as beginner friendly as possible, like as basic as basic, even if it was something that I was just learning myself. So at that point, when it seemed to be like an opportunity to kind of like share what I was learning, I realized this could be something, this is something that I want to do. This is what I want to do all the time, and have just kind of put as much of my effort and free time into it as I can.
When did it click with you? Were you like looking at your like stats and be like, hey, wait a second, if I treat this thing like a real thing, like it could be my new reality?
I think.
Or are you still in the middle, like figuring that out?
Oh, I have what they call like very big imposter syndrome, to where still it's like, like, is it for real? Am I doing it kind of thing? But
it's for real if you say it's for real. This is YouTube.
It absolutely is. I think probably a couple of years ago, the first time I went to ICAST, I think I saw the industry in a much bigger lens than I ever had, whether it was people that were actually fishing, whether it was the media team, whether it was people who, are securing deals with people who's, whatever it is. There's so much to the industry that made me realize how big of an industry it truly was. It was so much bigger than just, what I had seen up until that point. So I think that experience really kind of opened my eyes to how much opportunity there really is out there in the industry that I remember leaving there like fired up. Like I was so like ready to just like put my head down and go, because I was, whatever it took, I had to get there and be a part of that and be in the room and make those types of connections. So I think that point, so I would say that was, 2026? So July of 2024.
Okay. So it's interesting because I feel like you could go to ICAST and have two experiences. One, feel like fish out of water. Like, whoa, this is, although it's a larger industry, it's very tight knit. Everyone knows each other. It's very interesting in that way. So either you can walk away being like, I feel like I'm on the outside of the circle, or you can walk away being like, oh, I made some inroads. And this thing can go. And it sounds like you're like, oh, I made some inroads. This thing could go. So that's exciting. So I had a ton of questions right here. Why? Did you have anything before I the litany of things I wrote down over here? Yeah.
No, that was pretty cool. Like I saw a little bit of kind of what you're talking about at the Classic, where I'm with Old Town, so I walk over to the Johnson Outdoors booth, and Old Town is like one guy, and there's 45 other reps there. It's just so much more to that. And then you start talking to like, oh, Jim used to work at Lawrence. Then he went over to Humminbird. Then he went to Garmin. Now he's back to Humminbird again.
Everyone,
and they bring you with you. If they like working with you, they'll bring you to their next home.
That's true.
Yeah. And so it's a lot of it's just, if you don't give up and you're the last one standing, a lot of times you'll just be successful if in that way. All right. So you're just walking around the banks on your lunch hour, just fishing and I love these, like I fell into becoming a content creator story, because it sounds like it was never like, and I could be wrong. You're walking the banks. You're just having a good time at lunch. You're not thinking, hey, I'm going to make a thing of this at that moment, right?
Oh, no. It was really just, I was going to be doing it anyway. So, if you want to watch, this is what I'm doing kind of thing. And if you have questions or if you want to give suggestions, anything like that. But no, I was doing it anyway. Every hour that I had, that was available. So that was like my dedicated time, 1 hour every day to go. Mind you, it's Florida. Fishing at 1 o'clock in the afternoon is like the worst time.
Oh, terrible.
It was brutal. It was awful. So
sweat to death.
Yes, but I was just out there and it definitely grew very quickly. So it was something that I just kept after. You got to get to know people in the community and other people that are doing it, and you're making connections, and then you're, collaborating on stuff, or you meet up and do content together, and it's just one thing after another.
Yeah. And so in the comment section is one of the reasons I'm really happy to have you on tonight, because my wife is over here, Wendell Woodwork. She has her own channel.
Oh, awesome.
And she says, my daughter's enjoying, they're upstairs watching right now, seeing a great girl fisherman on here. And because one day I want for them, Mercy and River upstairs talking to you, I want for them, because right now they want nothing to do with Wendell fishing.
Sure.
I was like, this channel, I'm going to spend 15, 20, 25 years getting it to a place that would take you a lifetime to get it to.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll give it to you if you want it. But they have yet to like show that interest. So it's my hope that one day they're just on the work break and they go walk the shores, and and they fall in love with it, and then I can give it to them as kind of legacy piece, and they can, I can integrate them as Wendell fishing.
You could. I mean, don't hold your breath too long. I was 26, so
there's hope.
But it could still happen
for a long time.
Point.
I like it. Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll see. Every time I come down for the podcast, my Mercy and River like, I'm going to come with you. I'm coming with you. I was like, when you show a little more interest, you can be my co-host. I'll fire Wyatt, and I'll have my two girls.
There you go.
Oh, I love it. So we had a couple questions over here, and I'm not ignoring you guys. I see it. Fur fishing over here. What kayak do you have? We are the Kayak Fishing Obsessed podcast. What's your rig? What was your first one? Have you moved through a variety of them? Have you stayed in that first one that you've got? I believe you have a native, right?
So I've noticed a lot of people who get into kayak fishing have this like initiation period of like, I fished in this beat up sun dolphin for XYZ years before I did that. I remember paddling around in my and I respect the heck out of it. I'm going to tell you right now, I did not have that experience. I got to skip a few levels and kind of start in a pretty good rig. So my first kayak was a native Titan X 12.5.
Yeah, you didn't mess around. You're not.
Yeah,
I'm not
so
getting on the paddle board.
have that one. I still love that one. I also now have the Bonafide XTR 130.
Ooh.
And then the little 10-footer, like the native LTE.
Yeah.
Kayak. That one I've had up to that was like a drag and drop pond hop kayak. So, but yes, I have been loving the XTR. That has been like my first choice lately.
Yeah, 100%. I'm picking up an XTR within 2 weeks, so I'll be joining you. I just got a new Canoe Unlimited Max this past
great
week.
Things.
Yeah, I rigged it out with the Torpedo. I was ripping. I got a video coming out this upcoming Saturday where I go rig it out at the shop. Don't even take it home. Go straight to the water, and my buddy I go slay it on Wyatt's jigs. It's a blast. It's gonna be a good one. I had the LTE. I bought it for content. Sure. I started in a native Slayer Propel 10. That was one of my first kayaks. And then I found a Sun Dolphin Aruba 10 in the water one day. So I fish out of that sometimes. And I'd just be happy that you skipped all that.
The Sun Dolphin stories. That's all I hear.
Is the Sun Dolphin. Yeah, I still have it. That thing's a throw and go. I mean, literally throw and go. I'll take it on my truck, swing it around 3 times, and then throw it in the water.
You found it floating because the person who had it fell out of it.
Yeah, the rest of their soul. Yeah, that's a whole long story. It's a good one. But yeah, be happy that you don't have to go through I fished the Sun Dolphin.
Yeah, I got to skip the struggle period, so I'm grateful.
Good for you. I love it. What's so you have 3. So you're I
actually just and when I say just, I mean like a few days ago, Saturday, sold the LTE.
Okay. See that I sold mine too, because I was like, you know what? Once you go, if you start in a small kayak, you're like, oh yeah, it's amazing. And then you move to like a 12, 13-foot kayak, you're like, oh, this is really amazing. And then when you go back to a 10-foot kayak, you're like, nah, hard pass.
Yeah. Yeah, I had lent it to my dad's friend that he met fishing around here, was curious about kayaks. So I was like, try it, use it, see what you think about it. And he has been using the heck out of it every week. Mind you, it's sitting in my garage to where I maybe use it every now and again, not very often. So I was like, I'm not going to hold hostage to this kayak that I'm probably going to touch once a quarter, while I have somebody here who's like loves it and is like gung ho for it. And so I was like, you need to have this kayak as long as it's getting used. It really is a great kayak. I do like it a lot.
It is. I love it. And if I was pond hopping and I wanted a pedal drive,
perfect.
Right? You don't get it's super lightweight. I enjoy. I always love the propel drive as well.
Yep.
Do you motor your Titan?
Yeah, I have the Garmin motor on the Titan. Okay. I have the Garmin motor on the Titan and the XTR.
Nice. Like 2 motors? Everyone's gonna hate you if you say yeah.
Yes.
If I hate me being just wildly jealous.
That motor
for my
is
second torpedo, so
the real deal. Like the real deal. It has been an absolute game changer.
I love
There's just nothing like it. There's nothing like it. So yeah, I bet that's changed a lot for me and just being a little bit more effective on the water. So yeah, I've been enjoying that a lot.
No, I love it. Is TikTok your home base?
It was once upon a time, but I would say probably Instagram more.
Okay.
Instagram and YouTube. I've been doing a big push on YouTube this year. So trying to grow YouTube channel, more subscribers over there. So that's been going well.
Well, I mean, if you want to make a go at this thing, and I share this from time to time, but as a professional fundraiser for 15 years, I've always had my team members ask me, hey, what should I work on today? I'm like, follow the money. That's where I want you to work on today. Where can you go spend to get, receive the most money? It's YouTube, folks. YouTube followed by Facebook in a lot of cases. And so if you want to make a go at this, and what YouTube makes you work for it. That's for dang sure.
They do.
It's not make you work for it, but it's great for long-term stuff. What you mind if I ask you what you do for a living?
Yeah. So I still have a full-time job. So I work in healthcare. I've worked in healthcare for many years. So I work in kind of like the more accounting side of it. So I'm a manager of a revenue cycle team. So I've got a team of 40 individuals that I work with every day. So they keep me busy for sure. So still I wouldn't have the chance to do an hour lunch break at this point anymore. Those days are long gone. But
40 employees sounds terrible. I'm not gonna lie to you.
It keeps me busy. I will say I work remotely, so that allows for much more flexibility than I would have if I was going to the office every day. So yes, still working full time.
We all know what that means.
Still working.
I used to have a lot of flexibility, and I know what I did with that extra flexibility.
I have my 3 work screens and then a little personal laptop right over here too. So.
Just over here every once in a while, doing a little quick edit. I know how that rolls. I know how it runs. But no one's asked any questions if you get your job done. So
yeah, I don't think there's any chance my boss sees this, so we should be okay.
Yeah, I hope not. Oh, geez. So co-angling experience. Maybe for those of us who are just in kayak fishing, explain what co-angling is. And it sounds like it's like you're at the whim of whether or not someone has a spot open. Like, did you ever get like connected with someone who's like, oh yeah, every single time, or is that always a struggle?
I did for a time period. There was someone I reached out in like my neighborhood Facebook group, and I was like, this is a long shot, but like, does anybody have a bass boat and fish and want to do this tournament? And he actually had like an online tackle shop. And so that actually got me connected with, even some like rods and reels and stuff that I hadn't used up until that point. So yeah, there was someone I was fishing with like pretty much most weeks for a little while. But other than that, before and after that, it was just kind of like, who's got an open spot? Does anybody want an extra person on? But yes, this was a little bit more of a fun night tournament. The rules were not as locked down as like if you were fishing the BFLs and things like that. So, I had good relationships where I maybe contribute a little bit more to deciding where and what we were doing as far as a plan goes for the tournament. But fishing like the BFLs, for example, you're paired up with a boater, you go where they go, you fish from the back half of the boat.
Yeah, you're like the redheaded stepchild of the boat. Like, I don't want you here, but since you have to be here, like, don't talk, go clean up.
I will say, and I've heard people who have done it longer who have had more opportunities to have different types of experiences with different boaters. But when I did the year that I did the couple BFLs that I did, had great experiences. So very helpful, very, willing to talk and share and net fish and that kind of thing. There was even some were kind of focused on open water areas. So I wasn't even at a disadvantage of kind of where I was casting and fishing. We're all fishing kind of the same water. So it's cool. You do get to meet cool people and learn. I would take that as an opportunity if you're fishing as a co-angler to learn as much as you can from the people around. But yes, you are at the mercy of the boater of where they choose to go and kind of have to adjust entirely to what plan they have in place.
I've never done it before. Wyatt, have you ever done it?
Yeah, I did it before I had a bass boat, and then after I sold my bass boat, I did the co-angler thing. I did pretty well at it for a while, and then I hopped back in after I sold my bass boat, and it was in the middle of the live scope world, and the very last one I did, I was sitting in 80 feet of water all day long.
Oh yeah.
while he
I
was
wouldn't even know what
scoping
to
fish.
do.
I was like,
Yeah, you
I
just
don't know if
stand
I'm
there at
gonna
that
do this
point.
anymore. Yeah.
Yeah, that
And,
sounds
yeah.
terrible. I don't think I knew that you owned a bass boat
A
and then
boat.
upgraded to a kayak. I never knew that.
Yep.
I like that you said upgraded.
100% all day. Everyone always tells me that. It's like, you
Yep.
guys think it's a upgrade to go to a boat. No, thank you.
Yeah, I'll say a lot more maintenance, a lot more gas, a lot more of a headache, storage, just trying to store it, trying to park it, trying to drive it all around the country. Kayak, so much easier, so much better.
I'm not gonna lie. I mean, I'll get in a boat and go fishing. I still don't know if I want to own one, primarily because
I
it's
agree.
just so much more cost effective. And it's maybe
Yeah.
that's where I'm at as a new budding full-time content creator. I was like, the idea of a boat and trying to carry that expense. I don't know, not right now. I feel like with the XCR is going to be like a tiny boat nation
It
over
is
here.
like a
So,
boat.
yeah.
It is.
So I'm
And
excited to
you
get
have,
that.
and if you're, whether or not they fish or not, but like your girls, if they, you can tandem seat it.
Yeah,
That
same
was
thing with the new
advantage
Olympic
for me.
Max.
Like, like my son comes with me on the kayak and I'll throw the tandem seat on it. My dad's come with me on the kayak on the tandem seat. Like you can have whoever on there. It's so fun.
Yeah, it's like 750-pound weight capacity on both the Unlimited Max and the XCR. It's like, my gosh, I can bring the whole family out. I took them out last year and it's a ton of fun, and like pulled them in a kayak, and they like were jumping off my kayak and swimming in the middle.
Yeah,
like we need to do
we
that
can't do
again.
that here, but I love that for you.
And I just got an inflatable this past week, which I haven't talked about a lot. I got the Sea Eagle Fish Sup 1210, and I'm going to be fishing from that a lot. So that's going to be really interesting with that shallow draft. I can put a motor on it if I want to.
Yeah.
Definitely take the kids out and they can do backflips off that because my goodness, it's going to be a lot of fun. All right.
Yeah.
What do we got over here? I got another question over here. I saw. I got a couple of questions. We have, are you involved in Bassmast Her? And then Classy Kayakers like, she is a Bassmast Her. What is that? And what does that mean? I mean, I kind of get it, but I'm not part of it. So walk me through.
Yeah, so Bassmast Her is like a program and initiative that was used to really kind of foster a little bit more to women and girls in the fishing community and kind of create a community and like almost like a pathway for people to follow to get more girls in the sport or to foster two girls and women that are already in the sport. So it was created just to be able to, like give advice and have teaching seminars for all experience levels and just kind of bring people together with the same passion, same love for fishing, and has kind of just like expanded over time. So it started initially with Anastasia, Maggie Jo, and Christine as the three ambassadors for Bassmast Her. I actually attended a Bassmast Her event just as like a registered person that just signed up to go. I drove 9 hours to Alabama to go, and it was great. I feel like I learned a lot, but I was also, kind of getting in there and doing some things too, and realized that in any capacity, I just wanted to continue to be a part of it. So this year, though, they expanded, bringing on a fourth ambassador that, I'm very grateful to be a part of and be, actually leading the initiative alongside the other girls that are a part of it too. So it's been great that we've got workshops that kind of follow the Elite Series event. So, it's anywhere from like 4 to 6 hours of teaching and hands-on stuff with casting and rigging and, even trying to do some on the water experience and things like that. So it's been a very, very positive community and program. I think I've seen a lot of benefits from it.
Well, it's working. My two girls upstairs are loving it apparently. So
Oh,
this is
I love
exciting. They probably want nothing to do with what their dad says about fishing. I initially started the channel thinking, hey, I want to leave. My kids I might not be around forever, and I love fishing and I want to teach them. And they probably have no interest in hearing from dad, but they might want to learn from Kylee. So thank you for doing what you're doing.
I would be happy to. Yeah, it's great. Like when we had a workshop, a small one, like it was a short one that we had at the Classic, where it really just kind of became almost like a panel style, just like sit and questionnaire type thing for about an hour and a half, 2 hours. We had almost 100 women and girls that were there, just like sitting in front of the stage, just completely gathered. And then, you have husbands and other people walking by that are just coming and listening and talking, and dads bringing their daughters and everything. So it's been really incredible to see, you know, the impact. And I feel like I learned so much from people and their stories and what they bring and what, you know, it's been incredible. I'm big fan of it.
Yeah, love it. All right, let's go over to the theme of the show. I always love learning about people's stories and what they're involved in. So thank you for sharing that. But tonight, how to dominate spring bass fishing. Let's hop into that a little bit because you just got off a tournament on Okeechobee. So walk us through that tournament. How did it go? Were you fishing with Blake?
No, I mean, Blake was in the tournament, but no, me and Blake were not in the same area of the lake. So I think I probably would have had a lot better day if I was fishing with Blake.
Oh, I'm sorry, I interrupted you. I missed that last part. My bad.
I said I would have had a much better day, I think, if I was fishing where Blake was fishing. But no, I think I ended up finishing 13th, I think, on Okeechobee. I had a small limit, but nothing great. I've been on the lake twice. And I feel like the last 2 times, I don't know if there's some like weird juju between me and Chobe, but like I don't know if you saw the video when I dropped my phone in the water at the boat ramp.
My wife told me that. She's like, "Who are you having on tonight?" I was like, "Well, it's Bait Barbie fishing." Like, I can't find it. Like Kylee Short. She's like, "Oh, she just dropped her phone in the water." I was like, "Wow."
I sure did. And so I'm in like neck deep water, feeling around with my feet, trying to find.
That's what she was telling me.
Somehow found it. Somehow.
Oh wow, that's impressive.
By the grace of God, found it, and it works completely fine. So.
Oh wow.
I'm just praying the whole time, like, please don't let there be a gator under this dock, like whatever. Like, oh, it was terrible. But
oh yeah,
it was that. And then I lost my AirPods in the water. I did not go swimming for those ones. That just had to be what it was. But you know, the last time I pulled up to the ramp, I think I dropped like a liter of water in my lap in my car before I got there. You know, it was like one thing after another. I lost a whole setup, like my line somehow despooled and got hooked on something. And I realized that the entire thing was like despooled from the reel. It was just all this weird stuff happening on Chubby where I was like, I got pulled over on my way home. It was just a whole thing. So
did you get the ticket?
I think we're on a break right now. Me and Lake Okeechobee.
Yeah, we're gonna break it up. Take a little distance.
I did get a ticket, but that's a story for another day. So I'm not a criminal, I promise. But yes, I did get a ticket. But no, Okeechobee, the fish were there. The conditions less than ideal. It was so windy. So that was definitely a challenge for me and a lot of people there. Like the wind was brutal. I could show you a video where I'm just kind of like bouncing, like just constantly. Like,
is it like 20, 25?
Yeah, it was up there, like, and it was ripping. And I, of course, was on the side where wind was kind of blowing towards the beginning of the day. So it was a slower bite for me. What do you say?
Plus like 200 boats out there.
Yeah. So then it was also the same day as Roland's tournament. So there, you know, you've got 160 boats that are out there. So I think the ones who got to like some of the areas where there were no boats because, you know, it was just so shallow. The lake's really shallow, but I know they were in some areas where they were a little bit more closed off to where they were. Whereas I went to where it was definitely more populated and was able to get bites, just not the right ones. Just
how many anglers were in that tournament?
We had a small turnout for that one. There was 29.
Okay.
So it was a smaller one. I mean, it's not bad, but you know, we've been seeing like even like 55 and stuff in some of the events that we've had for Florida Bass Nation. So I think for Okeechobee, for it to be such a staple lake in Florida, like I was expecting more, but I don't blame people for not wanting to fish in the types of conditions that we had on Saturday.
Then you got people who like they go out and pre-fish, and then if they don't like catch them or the forecast the windy, they still sign up, right? They got a lot of those last minutes. Wyatt, what's your experience on that lake?
So I've been out there a handful of times. I've never gotten like on them. I've caught a ton of fish though. I'd say Okeechobee is one of those, like, it's a super Florida staple where whenever you catch bigger fish, that is where the bigger fish, they literally move into that 50 yard stretch, and the 5 miles on either side of that 50 yard stretch, you're going to catch 12-incher, 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 12-incher. I mean, I've had really good times out there. I went out there just catching 40, 50 fish, and maybe one of them's over 3 pounds.
Yeah, that was kind of how my day was. All the bites that I got was just kind of like punching in the heavy grass, but it is very area driven. So there's certain parts of the lake that are like on at certain times of the year. So there were definitely fish where I was, but same thing, just smaller ones.
So after the tournament, everyone gets around and you talk to your friends and the friends talk to friends. And so what do you think separated anglers who did well versus struggled, right? And if you could refish it, what would you do differently?
It's so easy to say what you would do differently after a tournament, but you have more information typically afterwards too that would change your decision making. As much as I would love to say I wish I went somewhere else, I didn't have any history, I guess, anywhere else. Like did not have the opportunity and have not been to a lot of different places on the lake. So I would have been taking the opportunity of going somewhere where I've had decent success, in the past, or even had caught a lot of fish in practice, or going somewhere blind. And I think in leading up to the tournament, I went, of course, where I knew there were fish, but now I wish I'd gone somewhere else. But I don't necessarily know that it was the wrong decision. I think it was it's more so having more experience on the lake. Like I just needed more time on the water to know where to go and how to figure out where they're at. I just didn't have that going to this one.
Were you able to pre-fish at all, or you kind of like just came
just the one day? So that one Saturday a week ago where I dropped my phone in the ramp, I was on the water for probably about 5-6 hours that day.
That's tough.
That was it.
That's not a whole lot of time compared to a lot of your competitors.
It's really not. No, it's about 3 hours south of me. And that's the thing, like that's reality for me. Like I have to work, I have
the lake owes you now.
Yeah. Yeah. I almost didn't go after that, when I dropped my phone, I out of knee-jerk reaction, like reached in for it too to try and catch it, and PFD gets wet. Blew up. So many things. And I was just like, I feel like there's lots of signs pointing to don't go on the water. But there was a gentleman at the boat ramp and he was like, you got to go fishing. If you found your phone, that's such good luck. You're going to go out there and catch a 10-pounder. And so I was like, you know what? I'm going to go out there and catch a 10-pounder. I didn't, but I catch a lot of fish.
I love it. So let's zoom out a little bit. And this is for Wyatt and Kylee. And if you have a question for Kylee or Wyatt, we are now into kind of the tactical spring fishing section of our podcast tonight. What defines like spring fishing to you? Because spring fishing to you might mean something completely different to me, because I am 10 hours north or 15 hours north of you or wherever you live. So
you're still waiting on spring fishing.
I am literally, it snowed yesterday. Let's put it that way. And I'm fishing tomorrow. However, the morning's temps are below freezing, but I'm going to go out because they warm up to 60 by the end of the day. And so it's all pre-spawn. Maybe if you got a shallow lake, you might have some of the big girls. Some of the water temps are pushing 55 to 65. And so you might have some of the bigger girls starting to look, I see where my bed's going to be type of thing. But what does spring fishing mean to you?
Go ahead, Wyatt.
I mean, for me, it's a lot of like not paying as much attention to history and things like that. I learned that from, obviously the team series this past weekend, but I mean, like the fish are in a constant state of moving. They're moving by the day, they're moving by the week. So what I found yesterday is not going to be what's going to work tomorrow. And it's a lot of like trying to put yourself in front of the fish, going out there and catching a couple bucks and being like, I know that I've caught, 5 fish for 60 inches out here today, but tomorrow is probably, what the conditions are looking like for the next couple days. Is that going to be conducive for the rest of the fish to pull up? So it's a lot more looking than going out there and fishing. It's, I'm looking for where the fish are going to be a lot more than the rest of the year, where, you're trying to locate in the summertime, you're trying to locate where the fish are sitting at that time. They're offshore. In the wintertime, it's the same thing. Spring is you're trying to get ahead of them and hope that they come to you that day or that week.
So I've always thought of it as you're fishing the in-between, right? So they're moving out of their deep holes where they've been hanging out a lot of times all winter, and they're making their way, right, the in-between along their these underwater highways to their spawning grounds. And so that's a lot of area, and potentially in some lakes about all their staging areas to get there. And they're constantly on the move. That's why spring fishing can seem so wildly inconsistent at times. Right. And like you said, Wyatt, you could be like on them yesterday. I'm going to go back tomorrow. And you're like, freaking ghost town. And so what are you looking for, Kylee, on a new body of water? Let's say you were forced to fish a body of water tomorrow. What's breaking down in your mind, how you'd break down? Where would you start first?
Yeah, I think for me, I mean, Florida, I feel like you kind of almost have to approach fishing different than most places. And when we're talking like spring bass fishing, like our spawning window, like is just like repeating like for a while, like they're going to keep doing the same thing. So finding exactly where they are in that cycle may vary, and the conditions like almost reset it every time. But I think for me in the spring and right now is just finding good grass is really important and fishing around there. But tighter vegetation, I'm definitely going to find, hopefully, you know, some of the bigger bites in there. But it's just more of a matter of finding, you know, whether it's variety of different styles of, you know, like pencil reeds and stuff where they're coming in with like Kissimmee grass, and finding where you do have a variety of vegetation is always good for me. Fishing on different points, if you can find, you know, little depressions and flatter areas of the water. So I'll try to do my best to, you know, read some of the maps and stuff that I can prior to get onto to see what looks promising prior to getting there. But then after that, it's just trying to cover as much water and see what types of vegetation look like it's going to produce the most.
It's so interesting when I have guests on who are literally on the other side of the country from me, because I'm like, for me right now, I'm like, okay, I'm looking for like, where's the warmest water on this lake, right? I'm looking for the shallow water. I'm looking for, because that 2 to 3 degree difference right now in that water temperature is anywhere from 50 to 60. Like that could be the difference between a bass like completely being shut off to them kind of turning on around 52, 53 degrees. And that gets even better if I can find warmer water. So I'm literally a lot of times just scanning the lake and looking at those maps. You're like, okay, where's those shallow flats that they're heading towards? And that's likely where I'm going to have the most luck. And that's where I've been having the most luck, is in those shallow areas. So it's just so fascinating because what's your water temperature down in Florida? What were you guys looking at?
Whew. I think, you know, anywhere from like 75 to 78.
Hate you. Getting there.
Where are you guys at? In the water, if that tells you anything.
Yeah, I would go in hypothermic shock in about 5 minutes in our water. Yeah. Wyatt, where's your water temp?
67 to 70.
Yeah, that sounds about right. It sounds real nice. Real nice. So do you feel like anglers struggle in the spring? Do you feel like, what are the biggest seasonal transitions that a lot of anglers miss during this time? Because I hear it in the comment section a lot. Like, I've been skunked the last 4 times. What in the world am I doing? What am I doing wrong? And so, Wyatt, Kylee, any of you guys want to take that?
Yeah, Wyatt, I'll let you go.
So, I mean, I feel like, I mean, if it was me going out fishing this time of year, like the first thing I'm going to do is go up and look, just obviously just polarized sunglasses on and look for bedding fish. And then that's gonna rather than fishing and, you know, not catching them or catching them, I'm just gonna go up there and look for the fish, and that's gonna give me the first indicator. And if I'm just seeing, you know, empty beds with just kind of mud and stuff in them, like they're kind of dirty, then those fish are done spawning and they've moved off. If I'm seeing clean beds with a couple bucks on them and no females, maybe the females are coming, and you're kind of as you go around, you know, you'll see a bunch of males on beds and the females are like randomly swimming around. That'll kind of tell you that you got fish kind of coming up to stage. And then you got to figure out where the majority of those fish are. So I, you know, put the sunglasses on and start looking around for this time of year before I start fishing. And then secondly, if it was a dirty water or something like that situation where I couldn't really see it, it'd be fishing the heaviest cover that I could, the heaviest shallow cover that I could, because that's where those females are going to stage up, be it docks, lay downs, grass, something like that. And then trying to identify like the bottom, what the actual bottom is, because I carry a stakeout pole. So I'm standing up, stabbing the bottom of the lake everywhere.
All right.
So if I hear it crunch, then I know that there's probably some beds and stuff around. And,
yeah.
Yep. There's a handful of things, but, you know, trying to figure out what stage the fish are in and where the majority of the fish are. And like I was saying, like, I got caught up this weekend looking at bedding fish, and I was seeing beds at Lake Murray this past weekend, and there were a couple males on them, but most of those fish were actually finishing up and moving off. So I was fishing for fish that were leaving. So my fish were going away every single day, and
that's a tough bite.
Tough
bite.
Yep, gotta notice those things.
You got Wyatt. You got a NC Shooter 1213. Wyatt spilling his secrets, and what he just shared was actually like wildly true. You're looking for that bottom composition, so those eggs can actually have something to hold on to. They're not going to, if they actually nest in the mud. A lot of times those nests will collapse, and it basically will just kill those eggs because it'll collapse in on itself. So that's what you're looking for. And so it's funny that you go around stabbing what you can't see, looking for that hard bottom. That's wild. I like it. Classy Kayaker, got a question here for you. Can you clarify what you're looking for when you're looking for bedding fish? Like for someone maybe who hasn't done it before.
That's a lot. It's generally like at Lake Murray, I was looking for shells because the white shells of clams, they get covered up really quickly with mud and things like that. Just like silt will fall into the cup of the clam, and just if there was nothing there, but wherever you can see a whole bunch of clam shells, that means that something was sitting there fanning those clams out. And that was the easiest identifier. But a lot of times it's a little stick, it's a stump, it's something that they can get some piece of hardcover that they can get next to and fan out of bed. So dock posts were pretty heavy. Individual little sticks, all kinds of stuff.
They're not large. They're really not.
No. You're looking for something like something you'll see
a little over a basketball size. Yeah.
If you're looking at just a uniform bank and all of a sudden there's one little, dark spot or light spot or just something different there, that's usually what a bed is. And a lot of times I'm looking for the fish to swim off as well. Like you'll see the fish because your eyes will react to movement. So if you're just looking, all of a sudden you see something shoot off, like that's what you're looking for.
Yeah. I was down on Gunnersville with Hoover, and they were bedding. I was like, oh, there's a male and a female. Female wanted nothing to do with our bait at all. And then I had to leave, and Chad was doing some videos where it was like, oh, they were right in the middle of grass. There was a little hole, and there was like a donkey, like a 9-pounder, and then a male was also on it. And he caught the male twice, couldn't get the female to bite. I was like, that's fascinating, really fascinating. Kylee, how about you? Any tricks of the trade? You're like, oh yeah. Bedding fish, how you identify them is a little different with composition down there in Florida.
Yeah, I mean, I think the same thing. Like you can see a lot, especially because shallow here is I'm like very shallow. Like I don't think I left more than 2 foot of water pretty much the entire time. So you can see a lot. I think too, especially someone who's learning here. And I know Kayla, like classic kayaker, so I know she's not here, but in general, like it can be confusing too when you have other types of bedding fish that are there as well. So like you're surrounded by tilapia beds and things like that. And it can be really easy to mistake what those beds are looking like versus like bass bedding. And, but yeah, I think just, using what you can see as much as possible is always an advantage. You can see so much happening under the water, especially in the real shallow areas. So it can be a telltale sign of what's going on.
So when it comes to your optics for both of you, like what's your favorite? Like I've had the opportunity because companies send them from time to time. I've ran through probably 4 or 5 different companies. Do you guys have a favorite, or do you have like when I was starting out, you're like, it's my favorite because it's the cheapest and type of thing?
I really only have experience like with Hobie eyewear. So I never really branched out beyond that just because I never really felt a need to, because I was, I guess, getting the job done with the Hobie eyewear. So I am a fan of those. I like that they float because I have lost many a pair of sunglasses.
Sounds like you're losing a lot of stuff off the side of your boat, Kylee.
It's a trend.
They make stuff for that. You know that, right?
Yeah, I may leave stuff behind and forget. Yeah, it's not. It's pretty on brand actually. So, but no, I've had good experience with Hobie eyewear. That works well. I will kind of switch the lens color depending on certain things, or like they still have some that work really well in overcast, and so I have my favorites from like a lens standpoint color wise, but I really haven't branched out to many different brands outside of that.
Yeah, I like Hobies. I wear them as well. I like their low lights, their yellow ones.
Yes, the Sight Master Plus.
Yeah,
that's the
because
best.
because I live in Ohio and it's never really sunny, so I actually need some more light. So in those low light conditions, I just wear them all day because freaking Ohio. Wyatt, how about you, brother?
So I'm a Costa guy. The glass Costas. I had a bunch of pairs at one point in time. I had Oakleys and Costas and Mauis or something like that. And I took them all to the lake, and I just stood there on the side of the lake, like putting different pairs on. And
not surprising at all.
Yeah, and which I could see the best into the water with the glass Costas. So I always rolled with those. And I have blue for bright sun and green for kind of generic conditions. So
why it's not messing around? Do you win those with all the tournaments? You just win them, or you actually went out and got them, or do you get a discount from where you
paid mostly retail for them?
Ooh, that sounds a little painful. All right, so back to the tactical and spring bass fishing. I mean, a lot of people talk about northern banks because of the sun being on the most, and then you got the back of creeks, which are always usually a telltale where people like to go first, and you got protected areas, also a place people like to target. How do you prioritize? There's a lot of places these bass could be. So how do you identify, I guess the question, like staging versus spawning? And so, I mean, I know how I'd answer this, but I'm asking the question for those you're like, oh, you know what, spring has been a struggle for me. How about we go with Wyatt again? We're kind of going back and forth. Is that okay, Kylie?
Fine,
you just answer. We'll go Wyatt. We'll go to Kylie. This is
toggle back and forth.
Yeah.
So I mean, the like how the fish are built. First off, like how they're built is that's a pretty good telltale sign for me. Like if I'm catching fish that are super fat, not sight fishing, but if I'm just catching fish that are super fat, those are pre-spawn females. And then catching the long skinny fish with a chewed up tail, that's telling you that they're bedding. And then big like really big thing with me for springtime is how far into the creek am I catching the fish?
Yeah.
Because if I've got a creek arm that's half a mile long and I go 200 or 300 yards in and stop catching fish, and then I go to the next creek arm and I go 200 or 300 yards in and I stop catching fish, that tells me where the fish are, and you can actually go each creek arm and you would only fish the first 200 yards, go to the next one, only fish the first 200 yards, go to the next one. I watched a guy the other day where I was catching fish out on the points. He pulls up to a point, I see him catch a fish, and then he continues and he goes fishing all the way into the back of the creek. And I'm like, you just caught a fish out here on the point. Why are you not just going to the next point that's a couple hundred yards away right there? Why are you fishing this entire 1.5 mile long stretch of going back in this pocket? Why are you not yet?
Maybe they're back there too, Wyatt.
They are back there. They're everywhere, but the majority of the fish were moving out to the points and things. So
do you think this is interesting because you've told me like when you're turnip fishing, like, oh, you're trying to develop a pattern because you're going out of big fish. Is there any scenario where Wyatt, you'd be like, hey, you know what? I'm actually fun fishing today, and I'm actually going to do what this guy did. And they might be at the back, they might be at the point, and I'm just going to have fun all day, just trying it all out.
Whenever I'm bed fishing and testing out, like what I was doing the other week, testing out the hook position and the Nico rig and things like that, I'll go just fun fish and just catch every single fish off the bed. Every 14 incher that's on a bed, I'll go sit there and catch every single one of them just so I can test out what, all the stuff that I have, make sure the drag is set right, make sure,
I like it. All right. So
what did you find out with the changing the position of the hook with the Nico rig?
Oh, you didn't hear this, Kylie. We had the master on. So you ever heard of Kayak Jack? Marty? You know Marty at all?
I don't.
So he catches, I think he's caught 2,300 fish this past year. He tracks them all like meticulously. He's got receipts. He's not I caught 2,300 and he actually caught 400. No, he actually caught 2,422 and he catch.
Wow.
And he does the majority on it. He loves the Neko rig. And so Wyatt actually took that and he's like, hey, I'm going to go out and I'm going to catch 40 fish because we're talking about where to hook them and versus this hook versus this type of hook. And most people were like, oh, that's just kind of nuance. It doesn't really matter. So Wyatt, what did you explain what Marty was saying and then what you tested and what your conclusion was?
So I mean, Marty was saying to make sure the weight's on the bottom, the hook is facing up. So you have your you have your Senko, making sure that the hook is facing up, and then making sure it's actually a Nico version hook where the hook point kind of bends back in towards the shank of the hook, versus just you see a bunch of the wacky hooks that are kind of like C-shaped and things. I was losing a lot more fish, losing percentage more fish with the wacky hooks versus the Nico hooks. And then whenever I rigged the hook like this, because it made sense to me that it would catch the top of the fish's mouth whenever the Senko comes out, I was losing more fish as opposed to rigging it straight up and down. And I like whenever you go out and sit there and play with like 20 or 30 bed fish, I can sit there and I caught 5 and I caught 5 and I lost one of them, and I changed hook position and I hooked 5 and I lost 2 of them. So like there's percentages there that it shouldn't be losing that many fish, especially on something that's just a single hook like that.
It was fascinating. If you ever want to like go in like a master class on the Neko rig, like homie's has that dialed in. So.
I think I heard about I don't know if he does it, but that tournament that you can do online too, like whoever gets closest to catching the amount of fish for the year. Is that any way correlated?
Yeah, that's
the tournament.
Cool.
That's him.
I didn't know who you're talking about then. Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
What's the next question we got? If you got a question, there he is. Kayak Jack is here in the comment section. Appreciate you, Martin. I love that dude. He's such a good dude. He really is.
Yeah.
I always like asking this question from time to time. And this is always like, I would imagine when I was starting out, it's like, I still know this. Like, what signs tell you you're around the right fish? And what signs tell you to leave immediately outside of like, I'm not catching any fish? Right?
Kylee, what do you think about that? That would be a big one.
Yeah, it's a big one.
Yeah. I think overall knowing like where you're catching them, and then also like the size of them too. I think for this time of year specifically, knowing where they would typically be bedding, like, is definitely going to drive where I'm focusing. Looking at the bottom, like, so even if it's like, if you are pitching into the reeds, like if you're pulling out gunk with some and not with others, like you're going to change where you're fishing in that aspect too. So I think it's probably more driven off of like the conditions of the area rather than, of course, the fish that you're catching, but more so the actual conditions of the area that I'm in rather than the types of fish, because you can be catching a variety of sizes of fish and there can still be bigger ones that are in there. And then you have some areas where you just have teeny boppers, as I like to call them. So
bass fishing is so just fascinating to me. Like I'm 137 episodes in, probably have 200 hours talking about this stupid little animal with a little pea brain. I freaking love it. I freaking love it. We can just talk forever about it. Kylee, if you didn't have your full-time job and you had the ability to go out and fish the spring anytime you wanted, is there a particular time of day where you'd be like, nope, skip the morning, do the afternoon, or skip the afternoon, do the morning, or do the evening? Like, and any breakdown of why you would make that decision?
I think always like the morning bite is typically a very, very good window. Like, so it's quick and it's brief, but like if you can get on a good morning bite first thing in the morning, then I always am going to want to be there for that bite. Like if I miss that morning bite, I'm usually kicking myself in some shape or form. Outside of that, a late afternoon bite is going to be the one that I'm going for the most. And if I still had to pick two, it would probably pick one of the two, would probably be the late afternoon bite.
I like it. Wyatt? We're going to kind of move up the country here. Wyatt, what would you say?
Same. There's a lot of times in the summer where I'm not even going to get out on the lake till 10, 11 o'clock. Just, let the offshore fish set up and things like that.
Yeah, I think right now in Ohio, it's more like I don't want to freeze at 27 degrees in the morning, and I want the water actually to warm up a bit, right? Even if it's just a few degrees. And so I'll wait till the afternoon bite at this particular time of the year in spring in Ohio. So it's wild how all of our answers are different based off of where we live, based off the different water temperatures, based off of the metabolism of these fish and what they're doing. And so this is why it's very interesting whenever you specifically listen to content creators on YouTube and paying attention to where they live, because what they're sharing their insights from is literally what they're doing at that time. And what Kylie's doing is going to be wildly different than what I'm doing. And so that's some of the stuff is, can be taught and applied at any time of the year. And some things are very hyper specific to that water temperature and where the fish are at in that spawning stage. And so it's interesting, and it's really key to notice that and know where your favorite content creators and whoever it is that you learn from, where they're at, and find a few, right? Because right now you can take what Wyatt and Kylie's saying and you'd be like, oh, that's my 3 week and 6 week out. And so I can start prepping for kind of what they're doing and start, staging in your brain how you're going to be strategizing for the next month or two. And so this is good stuff. All right. So if you guys have a question, go ahead and throw that in the comment section. 71 live right now. If you haven't done so, hit that live button. I don't ask this very often, but we do rip this and put it on the podcast, your favorite podcast, on Spotify and Apple and on Google and all those things. And so if you haven't gone over there and wrote a review, I would highly appreciate that. When it comes to wind, Kylee, wind versus no wind, what do you prefer? Why? How important is that to you? Because this is interesting. We had a gentleman on, was that last week, Wyatt, with the app, the Bass.
Yeah, that was Bass AI last week.
And I've actually started seeing some people who listen to that download the app. You could upload all of your past fish, and then since it's time stamped, it coalesces the wind and the water temperature and all that stuff, and it'll actually tell you and start keeping track of, hey, you caught 150 bass between, when the wind was 9 to 10 miles an hour. You caught 42 bass when it was 5 to 6 miles an hour. And you can start breaking down like, oh, this is interesting. Oh, the barometric pressure that I caught 175 fish was between this, and only 22 fish was between this and this. And so have you noticed anything when it comes to your personal fishing where you're like, oh yeah, when the wind is kind of like right here is when I just tend to nail them?
I haven't, but I will say, like, I typically am going for like more protected areas if I can. But I will say, like, on Lake Okeechobee this past weekend, significantly windier than I would typically be fishing, and where I was, and it didn't really change the bite very much as far as where the fish were and what was working and the types of like reactions that I was getting from different baits. So I don't know that there's necessarily like a sweet spot with wind that I found that I prefer or not, but I typically, in most instances, in most bodies of water, I'm going more away from it. Like I feel like I do best when I go into, if I can find like a canal or fish around something that's just like uber protected from the wind for the most part. You
like less wind. All right.
I like less wind in most instances, but which kind of contradicts the style of fishing that I like, because I typically prefer to be fishing, more moving baits and things like that. So I typically perform best, I guess, in situations with less wind.
No, I like it. And let me know in the comment section, you guys listening in live, do you like wind, no wind? Oh, I was going to ask you, Wyatt.
Who's got the data? Yeah, give us the numbers.
So, Wyatt, really quick, how many fish, before you spit out these numbers, how many fish did you upload into this app?
From last Tuesday, I've put 39 on there. I think there's 7 or 8 that I haven't uploaded yet, though.
Okay, so you did. The app allows you to go back in time and do it as well, but you just started doing it since we had him on till now.
Yep.
All right. So I'm curious, read through kind of the data that you're getting so far from that.
So right now I've got like stable barometric pressure is the blue. And then let's see, weather conditions are a little bit of everywhere. Sunny, looks like mostly sunny, partly sunny is over half of it. And then wind speed is very windy. Let's see. Oh, nope.
Yeah, we can't see it because your back's gone. So
turn around. 2 to 4.
Oh, okay.
There you go. Yeah.
But you're still early on. That's not enough data to actually draw a real conclusion.
Well, once I get 2,000 on there, then we'll.
Well, does it allow you to see other data?
Let's see.
From the masses?
All bass thumb data. Let's see.
I think
crash the server right quick.
Yeah. Warky, to get the question, what app is this? This is a Bass Thumbs AI. We had him on last week or the week beforehand. Right now, it is a free app, right? It won't be free forever. And if you want to learn more about it, listen to that podcast. But you can go in and just upload your fish as like you were if you're going to send 5 photos to somebody, like select, and it'll start coalescing all this data for you. And so it's going to be interesting. So I'm looking forward to Wyatt doing this. I'm not doing it. I don't have enough time to do all the things I'm doing and that right now. But Wyatt, does it show all data?
It is trying to pull it. It's not pulling it though.
Okay, you're gonna break the internet. We'll come back.
Yep.
We'll come back to that.
Yep.
All right. So, Kylie, here's a question for you.
Yeah.
What do you think? And we're coming toward the end of the show here, and so, but I still got a bunch of questions here. So I'm going to give you a pick your own adventure question. You can either take this one. What separates a good spring angler from a great one, right? Or what do you think is the biggest spring fishing myth out there?
Spring fishing myth. I'll take the great angler, and this may not be necessarily like my place because I wouldn't say like I'm the best when it comes to it. But when I look at the best or the people who are consistently doing well, it is like the ability to adjust on the fly because the condition is driving what's happening in the spring a lot, and it can change very, very quickly. So especially too with us cycling through these like spawning periods or, you know, like the littlest of a cold front affects what the Florida bass at least are doing pretty significantly than they do in some other areas. So I think the ability to adjust very quickly to whatever that condition is for that day, for that specific event, for that tournament, wherever it may be in the spring, and just kind of knowing with the wind change, with this, like how to change whatever you need to be able to still produce the right bite. And that's kind of a gap that I'm myself learning how to fill. And when I'm talking to people and kind of like picking their brains, it's like, okay, I can do this and I can catch fish, but what is the difference and what would I be adjusting to consistently be able to find the right fish, and what's differentiating me from catching okay fish versus getting on the big ones every time. And not just, and I guess it's not every time for some people, but like when I look at people like Blake, for example, very great example of someone who adjusts and can still have a plan not go in place and make some sort of adjustment that's still going to put them in the position to be with the right fish, and just finding the gap between that. So adjustment's a big one. And that's something that I've been trying to myself even key on to be more consistent in placing a little bit higher.
I know why it's good at that. My old host, Seth Taylor, which you might have fished against down there in Florida, was excellent at that as well. And so, because what people don't actually realize is on any body of water, certain times of the year, you can have pre-spawn bass, you can have spawning bass and you can have post-spawn bass at the same time on the same body of lake. So I think for a long time, I might even believe this, like, oh, it's either one or the other. Like, no, it could be all three, which is just wild, right? Depending on the time of year. Wyatt, how about you? Pick your own adventure here. What separates a good spring angler from a great one, or the biggest spring fishing myth?
So, I mean, as far as like I would hit the spawning piece right quick at Lake Murray this weekend.
Yeah,
we had pre-spawn fish, spawning fish, post-spawn fish.
Yeah,
the gar were spawning, the shad were spawning, the bluegill were spawning, and the herring are spawning. What else is spawning? I think there were a couple other things going on, but literally the entire lake is doing everything all at once.
Yeah.
Just a lot going on.
Chaos. But I think, I mean, I'm gonna agree with the bass last week. Like moon phase. I was banking on full moon. We're gonna have females all over the beds this past week, and there was nothing. There was zero.
Okay, so you think that's a myth? Was that something you believed at one time? You're like, oh yeah, full moon. I'm going night fishing. I'm gonna jack them.
Yeah, I mean, it might have something that it might affect later in the year, but I don't know if it helped. Like, we had perfect warm conditions the entire week, and then full moon, dead on or at least the day before the tournament. And I was like, we're gonna have females pulling up all over the place because the full moon, and nothing, zero pulled up. I didn't see a single female sitting on a bed for 2 days.
Oh wow, fascinating.
Males everywhere, all over the place, but no females. So I was like, maybe there is something to the moon phase. Doesn't actually matter that much.
Well, as I always used to say in fundraising, data doesn't lie. And now you have this app that you're going to be able to draw your own conclusions and be like, hey, you know what? This thing that people kept on regurgitating and saying over and over again is not true in my experience. And here's the data versus just a lot of people saying it over and over again. Here's a couple questions over here for you, Kylee.
Yeah.
This is from Southern Traditions Outdoors. Ever fished the Kissimmee chain?
I have fished the Kissimmee chain. Yes, I guess the Kissimmee chain, like Toho, would probably be my closest, largest body of water.
Oh, okay.
But what would you consider like a home lake? So yeah, I fished Toho. I fished Kissimmee a couple of times. I fished Cypress, Jackson, Marion. Like it depends on how far on the Kissimmee chain you're talking. But yes, I have fished the Kissimmee chain. Yes, definitely.
I like it. Someone in the comment section said, is Seth on the water adjustment switching from the stunna to the stunna? Yeah, that's because though Seth, my gosh, homie was a slayer with that thing. Give him a forward facing sonar and a Berkeley stunna, lights out. He's got he wants so much money on that thing. All right. We're coming to land this plane a little bit. If you still have a question that you want to ask Kylee or Wyatt, go ahead and throw that in the comment section. Wyatt, what you got for me?
I have a question. Where'd that put you in rookie of the year, Kylee?
So I don't really know because I'm down a tournament. So it's your best 6. And this was the 6th event for the others that were in play for rookie of the year. So Headwaters, I did not fish because I was presenting at the Milwaukee Sports Show. So I'm on my 5th. Okeechobee is my 5th. So I don't really know. I'm further behind. I'm still in top 10, but I don't know where it puts me overall. I'll have to wait until the next one. So our next one that we have on, it's like Garcia and Blue Cypress will be the next one. And then I'll have a more accurate, but
is that going to be like you have to win and they have to, they're going to be dropping one and you have to win it?
Yep, pretty much. I definitely at least I need to win one, top 2 at least. I don't know exactly the numbers, but there's like probably 4 of us that are dancing around and it's still in play for us. But they've been doing well. And Devin Holbrook, he's been doing extremely well. He came in 2nd on the last one on Okeechobee. So he's definitely gunning for that one. Chris Blanco. There's a few that did even well on Okeechobee. So it's just going to be a matter of seeing what it is. But yeah, rookie of the year would be a good one. It's unfortunate that with the way that the regions are lined up, we have the North region, the South region. It's your best in any region. And North region is, of course, where I had the Seminole one on 2nd place. And, some of my top finishers were on the North region, but not enough events to overpower where I'm sitting in the South. So
I'm surrounded by tournament anglers. I just don't. Here's a question to you, Kylee. I'm curious because as you were talking about tournament, like you're juggling quite a bit, right? You're a mom. Sounds like you got 40 people under you. You're fishing tournaments. You're doing YouTube. Like I'm to the point. Like I know that life. Right? I lived that life a year ago. It is a lot to juggle. Something's got to give, right? And obviously, you don't want it to be your family.
No, yeah.
Most people want it to be the job that they don't want to do anymore.
That would be ideal.
What's the plan? I'm curious. Or how long can you? Because you almost if there's any time you want to go full time in fishing and you have that job, you got responsibilities and you got a family that depends on your income, like you can do it in the short term, right? You can redline, and as long as everybody's and the family's on board, but eventually. Like you have to hit your goal fast or it just drags out for a long time. Everyone's like, okay, I'm tired of this.
Yeah.
So where you at in that stage is what I'm asking.
Yeah.
I guess.
I like to say, and this is no guarantee, but like ideally like a goal I've set for myself, hopefully I would be able to go full time with it by the end of 2027. It is. So that's out there. Let's hold me to that. Hopefully.
You just said it. It's out there. Yeah.
I think things have happened at a very accelerated pace for me, and I acknowledge that, and I am hoping to keep on that kind of path to get to a point to where I can. I feel like I could do so much more if I just had more time to do it. Where I'm at right
100%.
now, truthfully, and trying to juggle everything is not sustainable. Like, it is late nights and early mornings. And this was something that we talked about at the Bassmaster workshop, because somebody asked me about that, about like juggling motherhood and trying to pursue your own dreams, but you also have, you know, all of these responsibilities and things, and how do you do it well, and how do you balance it all? And I was very honest in saying I don't do it well. If I'm doing well in one area of my life, I'm probably not in another. It's just impossible to balance all of it. So it has been a struggle in a sense. I think I've found ways to make it. If I didn't love it, it wouldn't be possible, truthfully. Sure. Like, if this was just another job that I was just trying to do to it would not be sustainable to this extent. I'm also very grateful that, you know, where I live in Florida, like, I'm very close to family. My parents are close. And so, you know, they're a huge help in me being able to go away for a tournament weekend or something, because, you know, they're close enough to kind of step in and really be a village and support in those areas. So yeah, it's redlining is a good way to put it. It's a lot to juggle, but I try to, at least with, you know, the parenting side of it, include him in any part of it. Like, I don't ever want fishing to seem like something that's pulling me away from him.
Yeah.
I don't want him to have this weird feeling about fishing, and like, fishing took my mom from like my time and attention. You know, not that he'd ever say that or express that, but just in where I can include him in pond fishing and being on the kayak and coming to the classic and coming to board check-in for the tournaments and things like that, to where he kind of gets to be a part of it and knows it and loves it to whatever capacity that he wants to. And that certainly helped too, to kind of just make it a win and an experience for both of us.
Yeah.
But yes, outside of that, with work and everything, it is a lot of late nights and early mornings and sacrificing time. But I tell myself it won't be forever. So.
Well, it won't, and it can't, right? 100%. So I'm going to hold you to it, and I'm going to celebrate with you. We'll get you on the show whenever you go full time. We'll celebrate this all together.
I will be ready. Yes.
Heck, freaking yeah! That day was the best decision I ever made of my professional career. Is when I said goodbye. In fact, I just did a video on it, and if you haven't seen that video, if you guys are listening in, check out that video. It kind of shares the story of 365 days into a full-time content creator career, what that really looked like. It was pretty scary. I'm not gonna lie. Now that I'm on 365 posts, it feels a little bit better because I found the new normal. But finding a new normal is terrifying.
Yeah,
terrifying, especially when you're like the breadwinner, and then you you take on your taxes, you take on insurance, you take on a lot of risk. It's the reason most people never make that jump, because you have to have a high risk tolerance in order to make that jump, or just be independently wealthy, or, you know, have an advantage that most people don't. But Wyatt, I don't think I've ever asked you this question. Do you have a date in mind?
I don't have a date in mind. I probably need to get a date in mind.
You're about to be given a date in mind.
If I don't have one, it's going to be made for me. So,
as I was getting close to the end of, like, when I knew I was going to quit, I didn't even care anymore for like 6 months. Like, what are you going to do? Fire me and make my dreams come true? Go ahead, I'll figure it out, type of thing. My goodness. All right, 2 more questions for you. Let's go back tactical really quick when it comes to spring bass fishing. What is one thing you're still trying to figure out, Kylee?
One thing that I'm still trying to figure out. That's a good question. I think spring bass fishing in general. For me, like, one thing I'm trying to figure out and need to figure out is anywhere outside of Florida, truthfully. Like, I know how to fish in Florida for the most part, but I have not had as many opportunities to fish outside of that. So it's just kind of like, there are certain things that you can do in Florida that don't translate the same in some other areas. And I have a lot to figure out when it comes to fishing. Like, we've got Caddo coming up. Like, I've never set foot on, like, luckily from what I've heard, like, there are some things that will translate on Lake Caddo, but just kind of branching outside of this, like, comfort zone of the state that I'm in and figuring out how to find fish in different seasons in areas that don't look anything like the lakes that I'm fishing on normally.
Have you ever fished the Caribbean of the Midwest, aka Ohio?
Ooh,
What are you laughing for, Wyatt?
It's on my bucket list, but no.
Yeah, number 50 on your bucket list.
No, I haven't fished in Ohio. My parents actually lived in Ohio for a while, so my dad did do some fishing out there, but it was more like steelhead trout and like walleye and that kind of thing. So no, I haven't had the chance to bass fish. There's like even Georgia. This was my first year fishing in Georgia and any of the lakes out there. So, and that in itself was a completely different playing field than here where I'm in 30, 40 foot of water. And I'm like, what is this? Like, what do you mean I can't touch the bottom? I
was in a conversation with Chad Hoover today, and I was like, hey, we're going down to Santee for the Bassmaster. I'm not quite sure if I'm going to fish it, but I'm staying with Wyatt and a slew of other people. And I was like, hey man, we're going to go, we always go night fishing when we get together. It's like, are we going to go night fishing? He's like, well, I'm going to let you see how giant these prehistoric gators are, how aggressive they are. And I'll let you decide. He's like, I'm game, but I'm going to let you decide. I'm like, I'm in. It's like, no, I'm going to let you decide once you get your eyeballs on some of them. Because I guess they're just monstrous down there.
Yeah.
So
I've heard. I'll be there too. That'll be my first time on Santee. So
are you staying at the Relax Retreat? Wow, we'll get to meet each other. Come on. That's gotta be like
there's so many of us staying there. It's gonna be like a big party.
It is. It's you got Fluke Master, Wyatt, Chad, myself, Austin, you, Christine Fish. I mean, then the list goes on and on. It's going to be freaking wild. I think the most content creators together in one space. So
truthfully, yeah.
If you haven't checked out a Relaxed Retreat and you were like, hey, I want to go fishing down around Santee Cooper, and man, it's like on the water cabins, it's freaking sweet. So check that out. Relaxed Retreat. We're going to be down there. It's going to be a good time. Wyatt, you're going to be there, right?
Yeah. I think they have like pedal drive kayak. Like they have nice kayaks for people if you just want to go down there and rent stuff. They have native Titans and things like that you can just
Yeah, 100%. Wyatt, what are you still trying to figure out?
It's whenever the females are up there and they're not quite on the beds yet, but they're not eating also. So I saw so many of them this week where I'm looking at like, there's a 9-pounder right there, and it goes and it's swimming away. Forever. And then I go up to a dock and there's like 10 fish sitting underneath the dock just staring at me, just like
you're throwing your jig.
I'm like, yeah. Like I was looking at a 20. I was looking at like a 21, 22 sitting under dock, and its fin is out of the water, just sitting there, just doing this underneath the dock. And I leave and I come back later and I skip the Senko up to it, and the Senko just goes boop, right off his face. I'm just like the Mike Long in me starts to come out, where I start putting a white feather on the treble hook. And I'm like,
snag that mother. Oh my gosh! There's some guy in a ghillie seat up on the hill, like videoing you with a long range camera too. My gosh.
Yeah.
Oh, that made me chuckle. That was a good one. Thank you for that. Appreciate that. All right, last comments of the night, and we'll wrap up the show. It's been a fun one. Kylee, if you can give one piece of advice to help someone like increase their game, up their game with spring fishing or fishing in general, what would it be? What's that one thing for you? You're like, oh, when I did this, it really exponentially, not like a little bit, like a tweak here to a lure, but maybe it was like an electronics or side scan or maybe an app that you're using. Is there something that comes to mind?
For me, it's honestly like technique, and one that I really had to hone in on this spring specifically was like being very, very accurate and precise with like flipping. So anything within like flipping and pencil reads, like that was something I was kind of forced to be put in a position to learn and learn well. It has been a game changer in being more effective for me. So I guess just figuring out what style and technique works in the time of year for where you're at and getting good at it. Like if it's outside of your comfort zone, like get it in your comfort zone, because you're going to need to be able to be effective. More so too, even if it's not just about where you're casting, but how, like placement, like even just getting that most gentle of a land you know, is going to be the difference in getting a bite between that and kind of just like casting in the general vicinity. So I was really honing in on technique in that aspect, and that's been big for me this spring.
Yeah, I like it. Wyatt, anything new for you in 2026? You're like, hey, this is kind of an unconfidence thing. I know it catches donkeys, and so you're like, oh yeah, I'm gonna dial this in.
Yeah, jig fishing, never something I need to work
Oh,
on.
I'm about to work on that. I love jig fishing. It's caught my biggest fish, but now with the plume is what I'm gonna call it. I'm about to tear them up in Ohio.
Yeah, is there a name for the jigs? Like, no?
No, nothing official yet. Just big giant jig.
It's special. It really is. And I was talking to Wyatt. I was like, Wyatt, you gonna do that? You gonna sell these? How much you gonna sell them for? Like, and be careful. Like, you start doing this, and you end up like that's all you're doing is tying jigs. You're like, okay, this is annoying really fast. So you need to think of this before it takes off, because
as long as I don't lose to them, that's all right.
Oh, that'd be the worst.
Yeah.
That $10 jig just cost you $5,000. You might want to think this through a little bit. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna. I know personally, I'm gonna be throwing the jig a whole lot more. Wyatt's jig, to be completely honest with you, I'm not really interested in others at the moment.
Anyone else's?
No, I'm really not. It's so unique, and it's such a large profile. I was like, okay, this should elicit larger bites from the bigger girls here in Ohio. So I mean, 20s here in Ohio is like
big.
That's a solid fish, right? 18 solid, 20 is great, 22 is monsters. Like, if you start getting to like 23 and some change, those are absolute like units up here. And so I feel like that jig can do it. Chatterbaits, I'm gonna run through the slew of those. Gonna have a good time on the river with those. The plopper, I love topwater fishing in the rivers up here and for smallmouth with those. And I want to something I have a lot of unconfidence with. I just don't do it a lot. I need to do a lot more punching. So we got a lot of lily pads up here, and I get to those mats. I know they're freaking hiding down there in the heat of the summer. So that's something I need to dial in. But,
fun bite though.
Yeah,
like, it's fun. Every fish 100%. Might feel like a giant, but like it's really fun bite.
Yeah, it's always disappointing, like you said, when you set the hook. You're like, oh yeah, and you bring it in. It's like a 1 pound bass. It felt like 10 because it's 10 pounds of grass on it. That is, if you've never done punching, and a lot of times I'm in the weeds and people are coming up like, you catching stuff in there? I'm like, boom, right in front of their face. Yeah. Like, oh, I wouldn't never even thought to go in there. I'm like 50 feet in, which it's wild. It's a lot of fun. All right, folks. Well, Kylee, I want you to share where can people find you? Like, what's your home base, or kind of, and maybe share a little bit of like what's 2026 look like for you?
Yeah. So all socials, it's Bait Barbie Fishing on everything. So Instagram, daily, there's going to be something on there where the stories, reels, videos, YouTube at least once or twice a month. But if you go
give
back,
her a sub. Come on. I said, go give you a sub. Head over to Bait Barbie.
Yeah.
Bait Barbie Fishing.
So got a bunch coming on YouTube. TikTok's still on there. I don't do the live streaming as much, but for me, 2026, there's we have the workshops that are coming up. So there's gonna be like a lot of appearances. So the next one that I will actually be on Santee when the Bassmaster Elite Series is there, which is 2 weeks before we're fishing there.
Okay.
So I get to look at the water and not touch the water because it's off limits for us. But yeah, so I'll be there. So yeah, just kind of being out and around in workshops and seminars. And if you're local to Florida, there's some fun Fish for Fun events that I volunteer with FWC with. So we've got like senior Fish for Fun, where we get like senior citizens out fishing, a few weeks a month, and kids tournaments and things like that. But following the tournament trail, so Florida Kayak Bash Trail, Florida Bass Nation, Bassmaster Kayak Series, all that. I post all those updates and tournaments, on YouTube too, so you can kind of see the wins and the not wins on there as well. So yeah, really just a big push in long form content and branching out into not just tournaments, but like educational and lifestyle and just kind of like overview of everything when it comes to this wonderful and crazy life of mine.
Heck yeah. Well, thank you so much for hopping on. Thank you for what you do. I look forward to, like I said earlier, celebrating with you when you go to full time. And it'll go by fast. It'll end of 2027 will be here.
Oh, I feel like my
Sooner-
2026
sooner
is like already mapped out. Like 2026 is almost over at this point because it's already completely like full. So yeah, hopefully 2027 I'll blink and I'll be right there.
There you go. And Wyatt, we want to hear a timeline for you by the next show. I'm going to ask you, one, if you still have a job, and two, if you have a date where you're like, hey, this is the deadline. We're going to make it happen.
Next show is going to be from Caddo. I'll be in Texas next week.
Right when are you going? When are you going to Caddo? What day?
Probably leaving Sunday, possibly Monday morning. Sunday night, possibly Monday morning. I might just drive it straight Monday into Monday night, or
how far is the drive for you?
About 15 hours.
Oh gosh,
me too. 14 for me. So
brutal. You drive it by yourself, Wyatt?
Yeah.
Asian animal. Do you just like listen to podcasts and stuff? What do you do for 15 hours in a car?
It's listen to podcasts, listen to watch Bassmaster. I'll put Bassmaster Live on because it's like 6 hours. So
that's not dangerous at all. Yeah, no.
Yep.
You just listen. He just listens.
I'm not watching it. Yeah, 100%.
Just the podcast. just the audio.
We'll go check Kylee out. Bait Barbie Fishing. I know I hit the sub button and follow button on Facebook and stuff today. So appreciate what you're doing, Kylee. Next week we have Thad Moody on. Thad is a water biologist, aquaologist, whatever you call him. I don't know. One of those guys who understands. Yeah, I know. I made that up. I'm gonna go with aquaologist.
I like it. Yeah, run with that one.
I run with it. We're gonna take a little scientific look into it. It should be a good one. The following week, we don't have a podcast because I'm going to be down fishing and doing a 4-day trip. So I'm going to be out of pocket. But we will see you next Tuesday night, 8:30 p.m. Eastern on the Kayak Fishing Obsessed podcast. Thank you, Kylee. Thank you, Wyatt. Thank you all for listening in. You guys have a good one.
Bye, guys.